This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So Matt, you probably are familiar with this. You know Valary and I are not originally from the Sacramento region, right?
Right, correct.
Yeah, so Valary and I actually traveled all 50 states trying to figure out where we wanted to live. And out of all the places, we decided to make the Sacramento region like our home. We beat out Texas, beat out the Carolinas, beat out Tennessee, beat out Idaho. And we just absolutely love the Sacramento region. But I'm not originally from here. I'm from this little town named Coalinga.
Coalinga. How do you spell that?
How you spell it and how you say it are two different things. But Coalinga.
Okay.
Coalinga. And 93210. And anyways, born and raised in that small town in the Central Valley. And I've been getting a lot of notifications recently that they recently won. The high school mascot was named the number one mascot, voted the number one mascot in the country.
Wow. Because pretty much everybody in the town voted for it.
That's what I thought.
We got to have something going for us. We got to be known for something.
We got to have something. That's what I thought. I was like, man, everybody in Coalinga must have voted.
And what is the mascot?
But not everybody in Coalinga could have voted. It almost got 1 million votes.
Wow.
So way more than the number of people living in Coalinga. But yeah, so the mascot, his name's Oscar. And he's a horned toad.
A horned toad? What the heck is a horned toad?
So horned toads,
It's a frog? Some kind of frog?
It looks more like a lizard.
Well, you've seen the picture of it, right? When you were there, right? Didn't you see the horned toad everywhere?
Yeah. Well, they're not everywhere now. They're more like up in the hills. They're harder to find, but they're like legit in the area. And they just look like little scaly, horny, bumpy lizards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so actually there's an event that takes place every year, and there's horned toad races.
Wow.
You have not lived until you've seen a horned toad race.
So I wonder why it won this competition. 1 million votes they got?
Almost, yeah, like 980 something or whatever. Yeah, 1,000. But yeah, I don't know why, but I just thought that was really cool.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you take a lot of pride in that.
Coalinga proud, yeah. But
home of the horned toad. They're probably creating some kind of billboards as you enter the town, right?
They have to be.
Home of the number one mascot in the country, the horned toad.
So Valary's giving me a hard time because I'm really excited about the possibility of having some billboards locally, because I used to have a billboard back in Coalinga, but the billboard I had, it was mounted on top of a rusty tractor.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was like a 3x6. It wasn't
Love
very
it.
big.
Come on.
And
That's awesome.
But
so you're thinking about having a mascot then for Made for More Living,
mascot,
right?
Yeah.
The Made for More Living horned toad.
Made for More Living horned toad. Yeah, he's going to
You'd have to call
Oscar.
up Coalinga and make sure that would be okay with them.
See if it doesn't infringe on any copyrights. But yeah, but no, talking about voting, right? Voting for the mascot and all that. What we're hearing in the real estate space is a lot of people nervous about elections, and they're like, hey, is now a good time to sell, or I'm going to wait to do anything until after the elections?
Why are they nervous?
They either think the interest rates are going to drop closer to the election, they're waiting to see who the president's going to become because they think it's going to be better, the market's going to be better after that, whoever that person is elected. You know, I hear it from both sides of the aisle. But that's essentially, there's just uncertainty. The biggest thing when buying or selling a house that a real estate agent needs to provide is certainty and clarity for their client. And right now there's just a lot of uncertainty around what's going to happen with this election.
I wonder, historically, has that happened after an election? Have rates dropped or gone up? Or how have they moved after an election? More so a presidential election, not a midterm.
Yeah, so there's people out there that say yes, they have, and there's people out there that say no, they haven't. And what we tell our clients is we don't like to plan for what if, like what if this person is elected or what if this person isn't elected. We like to plan for even if.
Right.
So even if so-and-so is elected, then you will be okay. That you're in a good spot with that house, that you're not missing out, you're not missing any opportunities. So what would that look like? Let's say you're nervous about, hey, I think the market's going to tank right after the elections. Okay, totally understand like what you're nervous about. I hear what you're saying. But let's put together a game plan where you can afford the monthly payment. But let's say everything tanks and you decide you want to move out of state and get a job somewhere else. Well, now you can rent out this home that you were living in, and it will still cash flow. You'll still be able to cover the mortgage and then some. So that way you have a plan B. So if everything works out with the election, great, you can stay here forever. But if it doesn't, you can rent it out and you'll still be okay. So no matter what happens, even if, so-and-so gets elected, you're going to be fine.
Right. I like that idea. Yeah. Because that's just part of life. There's always going to be potholes and circumstances and changes and situations.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly putting your life on hold or trying to find that perfect scenario, there's just never such a thing, right?
Never such a thing as perfect. And if you're out there looking for a home and you're like, I have not found the perfect home, you're going to be waiting a long time. What we like to do is we like to create, we have it called the Buyer Dream Home Form. So we go through and like, what's important to you? And we try to get as close to that as possible, but we'll never get 100% because perfection just doesn't exist. I heard this great quote by Dan Sullivan. Have you heard of Dan Sullivan before?
No.
He's this famous business coach, been around a long time. And he said that ideals are like the horizon. So if you're flying or you're walking or you're driving, like you can look out to the horizon, you can kind of get your bearings, but you'll never reach the horizon. It's a good place to get your bearings, but you'll never attain whatever that ideal is.
Right.
And so if you have this ideal home, you're never going to find that ideal home, but it's a good, hey, this is the general location. These are the general amenities. This is how many beds and baths like our family needs. You can kind of create that home horizon, and then it'll give you like a direction, something to shoot for.
Right. I like that. It's kind of like marriage, right?
Kind of like marriage. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just kidding.
Our wives are perfect.
Right, exactly. My wife is my dream wife.
Yep. I always tell Valary she's the best wife I've ever had.
Yeah.
She's also the only wife I've ever had.
That's right. I love that, though. But you're right. Some people, it's a matter of, are you serious? Do you want to move? Do you want to sell? Do you want to buy a home? How serious are you? Or is it one of these, like you said, a dream on the horizon?
Yeah.
That it's always, otherwise, how serious are you about it? Is this a realistic goal of yours?
Let's just go back and look at 2012. If you bought in 2012, how much equity would you have today? You'd have a lot.
Right.
You'd have way more than if you never bought in 2012. Let's say you bought in 2016. Okay, you'd have more equity than you would today. Let's say you bought in 2020, more equity than you would have today. And so the last thing that I want these potential buyers to be doing is looking back at 2028 and wishing they bought in 2024.
Right.
Because it doesn't really matter what's happening right now. It matters what's happening 5, 10, 15 years from now.
I think you're right, because it's interesting. I don't run into a whole lot of people who bought at the peak of the market, where interest rates were a certain way or home prices were a certain way, and then they dropped, and they have this regret. I don't run into a lot of homeowners that talk about, oh, darn it, I bought my house too soon, or I bought it too late. Sometimes you hear that, oh, I bought it too late. I should have bought it a couple years ago.
I always hear that.
But you never hear regret from homeowners saying, oh, I should have waited, because usually things go up and down, and they're cyclical, like you've said before. So,
long term, it goes up. And here's people are like, well, what about foreclosures? What about all these other things? And that's just not likely to happen because, one, there's not a whole lot of foreclosures taking place. There's not going to be this wave of foreclosures. Two, let's say there is, the stones, Blackstone, BlackRock, all these hedge fund investors are going to snap those homes up. And then let's say they didn't even, there's still such a lack of inventory in today's market that so many people are wanting to buy homes that and that need to buy homes that there's not going to be this oversupply. And that's the only, it's supply and demand. If there's a lot of supply, then demand will go down and then prices will go down. But there's just such a lack of inventory right now that it doesn't look like prices are coming down anytime soon.
So before we go, because we're running out of time, what is your last encouragement for those that are thinking about selling their home or buying their home? Why should they give you guys a call at Made for More Living? And what would be your encouragement for this dream that they have of either selling their home or buying their home?
Yeah, so what we...
And obviously you would tell them not to move to Texas.
Well, you can move to Texas if you want to. I'm not going to hold that against you. But what we like to do is we like to sit down with them and we can actually run them through a simulator. And it can be like, hey, here's what it's going to look like if you stay. Here's what it's going to look like if you choose to sell. Here's what it's going to look like if you choose to sell and pay off some debts and buy another house. Like there's all these different scenarios. And so what I would encourage is just reach out to us at madeformoreliving.com. Book a free call, and what we can do is we can run you through those simulators and show you in black and white what the best option would be for you. Because everybody has a different situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No pressure. Madeformoreliving.com.